Hey guys, I just wanted to quickly talk a little bit about model sheets, turnarounds, what's the purpose, how to think about them, why are we doing it? Just I'll explain real quick in case there are any sort of questions. Cool. So, what's the purpose of a model sheet or a turnaround? Okay, so this kind of artwork is generally produced in-house, and it's really oh no, it's always produced in-house, but it's not generally meant for the public to ever see unless they do like an art of book, making of the movie, this kind of thing, or the making of the show. These are drawings that are generally not publicly available. They are done by the artists and made for the use and for the benefit of the 2D or 3D animators. So you'll find that characters in a model sheet or a turnaround, they're not going to be posing, in dynamic or acrobatic kind of poses. They're basically just going to be like here, standing still, arms by the side, pretty much. Maybe there's a little bit of character going on, but basically, you know, just stuff like this from the front, side, back, usually three quarters as well. This is Mushroom Boy from Super Mario. This is a full 3D turnaround. And they're basically just like you're trying to show a simple, clear visual blueprint for your animator to use to make a 3D model from or draw at different angles, a very, very clear picture of what the character is supposed to be. So you would usually have them in front, three-quarter angle, side angle, and then the back. Now you notice over here, this is Batgirl from the Batman animated series that went on in the 90s. These were drawings done by either Bruce Timm or somebody who worked on the show in doing Bruce Timm's style. Now check it out. So if I just, if I give you Batman or Batgirl and I gave you like this view, right, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, but if I need to, I need to draw Batgirl leaping off the building or this kind of thing, what's under the cape? Is it just, plain black fabric? Is there another bat symbol underneath it or whatever? So you see, in this case, in this particular case where the character has something obscuring some of the anatomy or obscuring some of the design, they have done with and without the cape, and so it's very, very clear. So with this information, we know everything. We know everything we need to know about animating this character. Also, when you do your drawings, you can, give yourself guidelines like this. This is very useful. So you'll find that if you want to keep the heads all lining up, keep the feet lining up, where the knees they should all be, where the hands should all be, her belt, her bat symbol, all this kind of stuff. You can draw lightly in a lightly colored pencil, or if you're using Photoshop, just make these little lines for yourself so everything lines up. It just removes a lot of the hassle away, as we can see with this like Sonic design. Again, like the head is always like, this is where the head should always be. I think this amount of information, like a three-quarter view would be nice, but this is pretty much like, you could animate this. You use enough information. You got Sonic's head and side, front, and back, and we could do it. This is another one of Mushroom Boy from Super Mario, and yeah, all the information is there. Now, something to ask yourself, or even better, ask a friend, is like you show them your turnaround, show them your model sheet, and ask them like, okay, do you think you could make this? Could you build this in 3D? Or like, have I given you enough information, right? Because you yourself, you're the artist, sometimes you kind of get lost in it. You're like, oh no, this is totally clear, whatever. But show your work to a friend or a non-artist, and in the past I had a drawing of this lizard, and I had drawn something that was I think it was supposed to be feathers, feathers coming out of the lizard's head. But I showed it to a 3D modeler friend, and he was like, "Oh yeah, cool," and he modeled it. But they weren't feathers in the end. I said, "Hey, what happened?" He's like, "What do you mean? I just did the spikes." Like, no, they're not supposed to be spikes. They're supposed to be feathers. He's like, "Oh," and that's on me. I wasn't clear enough in my drawing, you know. Actually, no. There's a funny story from I know the character designer Ian McKay from Star Wars Episode 1. He did when he first did his first concept drawing of Darth Maul. There's a funny story. He had intended like these these pointy things. He had intended them to be like feathers, right? It's sort of the reverse of my story, or it was the same. He wanted them to be feathers, and someone was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I love the spikes." And he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah, okay, cool, spikes." And then they became, and they became spikes, So I guess in that case, he was unclear in his original drawing, but it worked out for the better. So, oh yeah, cool. Now because as you can see, there's a bit of a feather motif, a feather design, from the design of his clothing to the head. Like you can get that sort of a feather design going through the whole thing, but it wound up being spikes. But yeah, so again, your drawings, they don't have to be flashy and characters somersaulting or striking crazy dynamic poses. It's just about being clear with the design, and I think the best way to check is to ask a friend, hey, is this clear? Does these gloves look like gloves? Do you understand my drawing? Is it clear? It really works well with non-artists because they'll be honest, and like you've got to be clear with these drawings, and then ask a friend who knows something about animation or 3D modeling, and you say, hey, yeah, could you make this thing? And then they say, what's under that coat? Maybe you've drawn a character with a big cape or a cloak, and you say, oh right, of course, because he has to take off his coat at some point, so you'd have to draw the character with and without the coat. Any information you need to show for the benefit of that 3D animator, so he can do his job. Yeah. So that's basically what I want you to think about when you're doing your model sheets. Cool. Bye bye.